March 11th, 2026, 6:47 p.m. local time. Air raid sirens began wailing across Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, and every major population center in Israel. Nothing unusual about that. Sirens have been a nightly occurrence for 2 weeks now. Residents grabbed their children, headed to shelters, and waited for the familiar pattern. Missiles incoming, interceptors launching, explosions high in the atmosphere, all clear siren within 20 minutes. Except this time, the all clear never came. Not in 20 minutes, not in 40 minutes, not in an hour. The sirens kept wailing for 3 hours straight. This was Iran's Wave 37 of Operation True Promise 4, and it just did something no previous attack accomplished. It broke Israel's defensive mathematics in real time while the entire country watched from bomb shelters. Let me tell you exactly what happened during those 3 hours, because understanding this attack is understanding why Israel's defensive posture just became financially and operationally unsustainable. Wave 37 began at 6:47 p.m. with the first missile launches detected from Iranian territory. By 6:52 p.m., Israeli early warning systems had counted 87 ballistic missiles inbound. That number would climb throughout the night. The attack was structured in overlapping waves, not a single barrage. Iran launched missiles continuously for 3 hours. As one wave was being intercepted, the next was already in the air. By the time the attack ended at 9:51 p.m., Iran had fired approximately 520 ballistic missiles and over 180 one-way attack drones at Israeli territory. The missile types Iran deployed tell their own story. The majority were K-bar-Shikan, medium-range ballistic missiles designated for strategic targets across Israel. Iran also fired approximately 90 Imad missiles with 750-kilogram warheads. Intelligence assessments suggest at least 45 Ghadr missiles were included, a longer-range variant capable of carrying multiple warheads. And critically, Iran deployed approximately 30 Sejil missiles, their most advanced solid-fuel system with maneuverable warheads designed to evade interception. This was a carefully calibrated mix, optimized to stress every layer of Israeli defense simultaneously. Israel threw everything at this attack. Iron Dome batteries engaged short-range threats. David's sling systems targeted medium-range missiles. Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 batteries launched interceptors against long-range ballistic missiles. American Patriot batteries operated by Israeli crews fired their entire loadouts. The sky over central Israel looked like science fiction. Dozens of interceptor trails crisscrossing the night sky, explosions blooming at high altitude, debris falling like snow. Here are the numbers that explain why this attack is different. During the first hour of Wave 37, Israel's interception rate against ballistic missiles was approximately 81%. By the second hour, that rate had dropped to 64%. By the third hour, multiple sources indicate the rate fell to somewhere between 45 and 52%. What happened? Israel didn't suddenly forget how to operate their systems. They ran out of interceptors. The mathematics of missile defense stockpiles. An Arrow 3 interceptor costs approximately $3 million per unit. Israel's total arrow inventory before this war began was estimated at around 150 to 180 interceptors total. During the first 2 weeks of this conflict, Israel has already expended more than 200 arrow interceptors. How is that possible? American emergency resupply? The United States has been flying interceptors into Israel on C-17 cargo aircraft almost daily. But even American stockpiles are not infinite. David's sling interceptors cost approximately $1 million each. Israel had roughly 300 before the war. They've now used over 280. Iron Dome timer interceptors cost around $50,000 each. Israel had several thousand. They've expended more than 4,000 in 2 weeks. And here's the problem. You cannot manufacture these weapons quickly. Arrow interceptors take 18 to 24 months to produce. David's sling takes 12 months. Even Iron Dome's simpler Tamar missiles require 6 months. Israel is burning through stockpiles that took years to build in weeks. Wave 37 specifically targeted this vulnerability. Iran didn't fire all 520 missiles simultaneously. They fired in a rhythm designed to force Israeli batteries to keep launching. First wave hits, Israel launches interceptors. Second wave hits. Before the first is fully dealt with, Israel launches more. Third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave. Each wave forces another salvo of defensive missiles. By hour 2, Israeli defense commanders were making calculations they never wanted to make. Do we fire 2 interceptors at this incoming missile or save them for the next wave? The cost equation of Wave 37, Iran fired approximately 520 ballistic missiles. The missiles Iran uses most frequently, the K-bar-Shekin and Emad variants, cost Iran somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000 each to produce. Using the high estimate, $500,000 times 520 missiles equals $260 million. That's Iran's cost to launch Wave 37. Israel's defensive expenditure, Approximately 180 Arrow interceptors at $3 million each equals $540 million. Roughly 110 David Sling interceptors at $1 million each equals $110 million. Iron Dome fired an estimated 890 Tamar interceptors at $50,000 each equals $44.5 million. Total defensive expenditure for Wave 37 alone, approximately $694.5 million. Round it to $700 million. Iran spent $260 million to attack. Israel spent $700 million to defend. And the attack still got through. At least 47 impacts were confirmed in Israeli territory during Wave 37. Buildings hit, infrastructure damaged, fires started. This is the mathematics that keeps Israeli defense planners awake at night. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment to do it. Because what I'm about to explain next is something you will not hear on mainstream coverage. The cost exchange ratio in modern missile warfare is destroying the defender. Here's what makes this sustainable for Iran and unsustainable for Israel. Iran manufactures missiles domestically. Their production facilities are in Iran, powered by Iranian electricity, staffed by Iranian workers paid in reals. When Iran fires a $300,000 missile, that money stays in the Iranian defense economy. The entire production chain remains internal, which means Iran controls costs, timelines, and scaling. Israel's interceptors are different. Arrow missiles are produced by Israel Aerospace. Industries in partnership with Boeing. Components come from the United States. When Israel fires a $3 million Arrow interceptor, significant money flows to American contractors. And critically, Israel cannot produce interceptors faster than Iran can produce missiles. Iran's ballistic missile production capacity is estimated at 30 to 50 missiles per month. Israel's interceptor production, even with American support, is approximately 10 to 15 per month for high-end systems like Arrow. Do the math. If Iran launches 500 missiles in one night and Israel can produce 15 interceptors per month, Israel needs 33 months of production to replace what they fired in one night. That math doesn't work, and Wave 37 just demonstrated it in the most expensive way possible. Let me tell you what those 3 hours felt like for Israeli civilians. At 6:47 p.m., families were sitting down to dinner, children were doing homework. Then the sirens started, and they didn't stop. In Tel Aviv, residents streamed into bomb shelters, expecting the usual 15 to 20-minute ordeal. 20 minutes passed, the sirens continued, 40 minutes, still, wailing. By the 1 hour mark, the shelters were packed, hot, and running out of patience. By hour 2, people were calling relatives to check if they were safe. By hour 3, the psychological toll was visible. Elderly residents struggling to breathe in poorly ventilated shelters. Children crying, parents trying to maintain calm while checking social media videos showing missiles impacting across the city. At approximately 8:50 p.m. during the third hour, social media in Israel began showing videos that Israeli military censors tried unsuccessfully to suppress. The videos showed ballistic missiles impacting the ground without any interception attempts. Not because the missiles evaded interceptors, because no interceptors were fired at them. Israeli officials later claimed these were missiles targeting open areas that didn't warrant interception. That explanation is technically possible, but strategically questionable. Israeli doctrine has always been to intercept every ballistic missile regardless of projected impact point. Trajectory calculations are not perfect. A missile, projected to land in an open field, can deviate and hit a city. So why would Israel suddenly change doctrine during the largest attack of the war? The more likely explanation, the one defense sources are quietly confirming off the record, is that Israeli batteries had fired so many interceptors they were conserving remaining stocks for missiles clearly targeting populated areas. They were triaging targets in real time. This is what defeat looks like in missile defense. Not every missile getting through, but having to choose which missiles to intercept because you cannot intercept all of them. Wave 37 killed 11 Israeli civilians and wounded 64 others. A missile struck an apartment building in Rishon LeZion, killing 4 people, including 2 children. Another hit a bus depot in Petah Tikva, killing 3. Debris from intercepted missiles caused additional casualties. Fires broke out in 23 locations across central Israel. Economic damage is estimated over $200 million. Israel's government held an emergency security cabinet meeting at 11 p.m. that night. According to leaks from that meeting, the discussion was not about military retaliation. It was about economic sustainability. Defense Minister reports indicated that at current expenditure rates, Israel's defensive missile stocks will be depleted within 30 days, even with American resupply. The Prime Minister reportedly asked a question never before asked in Israeli security cabinet history. What happens when we run out of interceptors and Iran is still firing? Subscribe to this channel if you want analysis that connects these dots. Because the next part explains why this isn't just an Israeli problem. The United States has already provided Israel with over 400 interceptors since this war began. Those interceptors came from American stockpiles meant to defend American interests globally. Every Arrow interceptor sent to Israel is one fewer available for potential conflict with China over Taiwan. Every Patriot missile shipped to Israel is one fewer for defense of American bases in the Pacific. The United States produces approximately 500 to 550 air defense interceptors per year, total across all types. Israel has already used 600 interceptors in 2 weeks. At this rate, Israel will consume America's entire annual interceptor production in 28 days. American defense contractors are already warning the Pentagon that surge production will take 18 months to implement and billions in upfront investment. Wave 37 also demonstrated a new Iranian tactic that Israeli intelligence had feared but not yet seen operationally. Iran fired missiles in clusters timed to arrive simultaneously from different azimuths. A cluster of 12 missiles from the northeast, 15 from the east, 10 from the southeast, all timed to arrive in Tel Aviv's airspace within a 20-second window. This saturation tactic overwhelms defensive systems by forcing simultaneous engagement decisions across multiple threat axes. Each Arrow battery can only engage a limited number of targets simultaneously. The radar can track hundreds, but the fire control system can only guide 6 to 8 interceptors at once. When 35 missiles arrive from 3 directions in a 20-second window, the battery must prioritize. It fires at what it can, and what it cannot engage gets through. Every time Israel fires an interceptor, Iran's sensors collect data. Radar emissions from Israeli batteries, interceptor flight profiles, decision-making timelines, reload rates. Iran now knows precisely how long it takes an Arrow battery to reload after firing. They know how Israeli operators prioritize targets. They know which types of missiles draw the most expensive interceptors. This data makes every subsequent attack more effective. Israel's official statement about Wave 37 claimed a successful defense with over 80% interception rate. That statement is technically true but strategically misleading. If you calculate interception rate by total missiles fired versus total missiles intercepted, you can claim 80%. But that includes missiles intercepted over unpopulated areas, missiles intercepted after releasing submunitions, and missiles engaged but not destroyed, only deflected. The metric that actually matters: how many missiles reach their intended target areas? For Wave 37, approximately 47 confirmed impacts in areas where Iran intended to cause damage. 47 impacts out of 520 launches is a 9% breakthrough rate. That doesn't sound terrible until you remember that a single impact in a densely populated city can kill dozens. Iranian officials stated that Wave 37 was retaliation for specific Israeli strikes earlier that day, but they also stated that additional waves are coming. Iran has explicitly said they will continue Operation True Promise 4 until American and Israeli strikes on Iranian territory cease. There is no indication either side intends to stop, which means this pattern continues. Israel defends, expends interceptors, takes damage, launches retaliatory strikes. Iran retaliates with another wave. The cycle repeats. And with each repetition, Israel's defensive capacity degrades, while Iran's offensive capacity remains essentially unchanged. If you found this analysis valuable, hit that subscribe button. Because I'm tracking this war at the operational level, not the headline level. Let me tell you what the title means when it says, and it's not over. Wave 37 ended at 9:51 p.m. on March 11th. At 11:17 p.m. the same night, Israeli early warning systems detected new missile launches. Wave 38 had begun. Smaller than Wave 37, only 73 missiles. But the message was clear. Iran is not stopping. Israel's options now are all bad. Option 1, continue defending at current intensity, which leads to interceptor depletion within 30 days and economic exhaustion within 90 days. Option 2, reduce defensive coverage, allow more missiles through, accept higher civilian casualties. Politically unacceptable. Option 3, escalate dramatically to force Iran to stop. But escalation to what? Israel has already struck over 800 targets inside Iran. Iran is still launching. The American position is equally constrained. The United States cannot provide unlimited interceptors. American stockpiles are finite. And American strategic planners are watching Chinese military preparations around Taiwan with growing concern. Every interceptor sent to Israel is one fewer available for the Pacific. Here's the reality Wave 37 demonstrated. Modern missile defense can work against limited attacks, but it cannot work indefinitely against an adversary with domestic production who can manufacture missiles faster than you can manufacture interceptors. The mathematics of attrition favor the attacker, always have, always will. Wave 37 cost Iran roughly $260 million. It cost Israel roughly $700 million to defend against. It will cost another $200 million to repair damage. Total Israeli cost $900 million. Iranian cost $260 million. That's a 3.5 to 1 cost advantage. And this was one night. If Iran sustains this pace for 30 days. Israel's economic damage will exceed $27 billion, while Iran spends less than $8 billion. Share this video. Share it, because tomorrow's media coverage will show successful interceptions and call it a victory. They'll show missiles being destroyed in midair. They won't show you the cost per interception. They won't calculate the depletion rate. They won't explain that Israel fired $700 million worth of missiles to stop $260 million worth of attack. They won't tell you that 47 missiles still got through. They won't report that Israeli defense batteries were triaging targets by the third hour. And they absolutely won't explain that the mathematics of this war favor Iran, not Israel. This channel exists because the gap between what you're told and what the data shows has become dangerous. Wave 37 just demonstrated that gap in the most expensive 3 hours of Israel's defensive war. 520 missiles, $700 million expended. 47 impacts, 11 dead. And Iran has already launched Wave 38. The war is 2 weeks old. Iran is on Wave 38. Do the math on where this goes if it continues for 2 months. Hit subscribe, because I'll be here calculating that math while others celebrate interceptions. 3 hours, $700 million. And it's not over.